Picture this. You unwrap a smooth bar of chocolate, the smell rich and sweet, promising comfort and luxury. But behind that glossy wrapper hides a bitter truth the industry doesn't want you to know. Today, we're counting down the hidden secrets they keep from you. And secret number 1 is the most dangerous of all. Starting off with number 7, we're peeling back the shiny foil to reveal what's really inside that silky bar of chocolate. And it's not the pure treat you think it is. That glossy surface, that smooth snap, that comforting melt on your tongue, engineered. Behind the marketing words pure and classic, many bars are laced with additives that sound more like lab supplies than food. Emulsifiers like soy lecithin and PGPR are mixed in to stretch the cocoa, stabilize the texture, and make the bar feel luxurious, without actually being so. That silky snap? Engineered, not natural. Here's the betrayal. You pay for what looks like premium cocoa, but you're getting a chemistry kit. PGPR, polyglycerol polyricinoleate, cuts costs for manufacturers by reducing the actual cocoa butter. To you, that means a thinner flavor, a waxy mouthfeel, and an aftertaste that coats your tongue in something closer to plastic than chocolate. Ever notice that greasy film left on your fingers after holding a bar too long? That's not nature. That's additives designed to hold the product together in shipping. Chocolate bar or chemistry kit? Stats back this up. The FDA allows these additives in safe amounts, but those amounts are rarely spelled out on the label. Europe has stricter rules. For instance, Germany caps PGPR at a fraction of what's commonly used in American bars. And seniors? You pay the highest price. Soy lecithin can trigger allergies. Artificial vanillin, cheap synthetic flavor, can irritate sensitive stomachs. The chemical load can strain the liver, which already works overtime when you're on daily medications. A bar of chocolate should not be a test of your digestion. Staff forums from inside the industry even joke about it. Liquid plastic in solid form. That's not a joke you want connected to your snack. But here's the real shocker. Tests show that many smooth bars aren't even hiding it. Pick up a bar and flip it. When the ingredients list is longer than a short paragraph, you're not holding chocolate. You're holding marketing with a cocoa accent. Think about the betrayal here. The promise is indulgence, comfort, and maybe even health. Dark chocolate has been hyped as an antioxidant booster. The reality? You're licking residues of solvents and emulsifiers that belong in factories, not kitchens. What's worse, those with blood pressure or kidney issues are at higher risk. The additives themselves may not seem deadly, but combined with sodium from fillers and with daily meds, the cocktail can lead to spikes in blood pressure, unexpected bloating, and fatigue. The FDA shrugs, but your body doesn't. Even brands that call themselves natural sneak these chemicals in. One bar may claim no artificial flavors, but still use PGPR to stretch the cocoa. Another might plaster premium on the wrapper while using synthetic vanillin instead of real vanilla bean. So keep it simple. Look for bars with 2 to 3 ingredients. Cocoa mass, sugar, vanilla. That's it. You don't need a degree in chemistry to read the label. And if you can't pronounce an ingredient, don't eat it. This is where European brands often do better. In Switzerland, many bars are made with only cocoa and sugar. No PGPR, no soy lecithin. It's why their chocolate actually tastes like cocoa, not candle wax. Have you ever unwrapped a bar and thought the flavor seemed fake? Drop your experience in the comments. Was it smooth and silky, or more like plastic and chalk? Would you still trust that glossy wrapper if you knew what made it shine? And remember, this is just the first crack in the shell. If additives felt like a trick, wait until you see how labels turn into lies. Coming in at number 6, we're unwrapping the gold foil fantasy, the bar that whispers pure and premium, while hiding a bargain basement core. That gold wrapping and fancy lettering? Just window dressing. Here's the promise. Rich cocoa, slow-roasted perfection, artisan quality you can taste. Here's the betrayal. The same bulk-grade cocoa you'd find in cheaper bars, dressed up in metallic foil and a script font that screams luxury. You're paying extra for the costume, not the chocolate. Crack one of these premium bars and listen for the snap. Sometimes it's crisp. Often it's dull, like chalk breaking. Under the shiny shell, the center can taste flat, bitter at first, then weirdly sweet, with a gummy finish that clings to your tongue. Pure? Not really. The label says crafted, but the ingredient list still reads like a short lab report. Sugar first, cocoa second, emulsifiers, artificial vanilla, and natural flavors that never met a vanilla orchid. Paying more, getting the same junk. Consumer Reports has pointed out that when you blind taste these premium bars against standard ones, the differences are small, sometimes no better at all. The price jumps. The quality often doesn't. And that's the part that stings, especially for seniors on a fixed income. The wrapper nudges you to believe this one is safer, cleaner, and richer. But the nutrition panel tells the truth. Same sugar, same additives, same calorie wallop. Your blood pressure and your wallet both take the hit. Let's talk health. If you're managing hypertension or kidney concerns, these premium bars don't help. Many land you with 20 to 25 grams of sugar per serving, more than your morning cereal. That spike can fight your meds, push your heart to work harder, and leave you foggy later in the day. And the additives? They don't vanish just because the package looks fancy. The FDA allows emulsifiers and flavor enhancers across the board. A premium label doesn't erase them. You'll see PGPR, or soy lecithin, tucked in, stretching cocoa butter, so the company spends less while you spend more. Meanwhile, Europe keeps tighter rules on some processing aids and flavor claims. Whether you agree with him or not, the point lands. US packaging can talk a bigger game than the bar delivers. Peel back the foil, and you can feel the truth. The outer layer shines like polished marble, but the first bite sheds flakes that dust your shirt. The center? Chalky, dry. It crumbles into bitter grit before melting into a sugary syrup that coats your teeth. You wanted silk? You got drywall sweetened with a wink. An industry insider put it bluntly. Premium is packaging, not purity. Another buyer said the quiet part out loud. The tinfoil sells the bar. That's not craft, that's theater. And yes, the marketing plays on trust. Single origin, estate grown, heritage recipes. Sounds romantic. But without third-party proof, those words can be a costume change. One distributor bragged on a staff forum about reboxing the same run and reserve sleeves. Translation, same bar, fancier outfit, higher price tag. If this feels personal, it should. Seniors often pick what looks safer and pay a premium for peace of mind. The betrayal is that peace of mind is printed, not produced. You expect better antioxidants, fewer additives, and a gentler melt. You get a sugar rush in a tuxedo. Skip the costume. Look for certification and short labels. Choose fair trade and organic bars that list just 2 or 3 ingredients: cocoa mass, or cocoa liquor, sugar, and vanilla. If the brand can name the farm, even better. And, if you want real flavor, aim for 70% cocoa and up. Less room for sugar, more room for the cocoa to actually speak. Bonus: many ethically sourced bars avoid PGPR and synthetic vanillin altogether. Ever bought a reserve bar that tasted like the cheap one? Here's a small test you can do at home. Break a square and let it sit on your tongue. Real cocoa warms and blooms. It goes from bitter to deep, like coffee turning into velvet. Faked premium just slides into syrup, then leaves a waxy film. If your mouth feels coated, you paid for gloss, not quality. What's the most overhyped premium bar you tried? And did the taste match the label? Name and shame in the comments. Why gamble with your health and wallet when the truth is right here? Hit subscribe. And if you're watching on your TV, grab your remote and click it now so you never miss these exposés. And now, let's peel back the wrapper even further, because what's inside is far heavier than sugar. Sliding into number 5, here's where the sweet treat turns toxic. That bar marketed as a heart-friendly superfood packed with antioxidants. Break it in half and you might be snapping into something far darker. Traces of lead and cadmium. Superfood or slow poison? Chocolate companies love to flaunt studies about flavanols and antioxidants. Ads frame dark chocolate as practically medicine, something you can indulge in guilt-free. But hidden behind those glossy ads and health halos are 2 words no one wants near dessert: heavy metals. Consumer Reports ran tests in 2022 on 28 popular chocolate bars. The results weren't sweet. Multiple bars, including Hershey's Special Dark and Trader Joe's Dark Chocolate 72%, were found to contain levels of cadmium or lead that exceeded California's maximum allowable dose. One Hershey's Square, just a single piece, carried enough cadmium to cross that line. Antioxidants can't cancel out lead. Cadmium is absorbed from the soil into cocoa beans, especially those grown in South America. Lead can sneak in during drying and storage, where beans sit exposed to dust and contamination. These metals don't give chocolate a taste or a smell. They're invisible, undetectable to you, but not to your body. And here's the kicker. The FDA admits these metals accumulate. That means each square you nibble builds up inside you. Now think about the risks. Cadmium is linked to kidney damage and bone weakness. Lead hits the nervous system, causing memory loss, fatigue, even tremors. For seniors on blood pressure or heart medication, the risks compound. Metal exposure can spike blood pressure, stress the kidneys, and interfere with meds. A treat meant to comfort can quietly turn into a health trigger. Customers have caught on. One review online summed it up with a painful honesty. My doctor told me to cut chocolate because of lead. Imagine being told to drop your favorite comfort food, not because of sugar, not because of fat, but because of toxins. The betrayal here is brutal. You think you're choosing a bar that's better than candy. Some packaging even leans into the wellness trend with words like clean, pure, and superfood. The truth? You might be swallowing trace poisons with every square. Picture this: a dark bar breaking cleanly in half, the aroma earthy and rich. But instead of just cocoa, that snap conceals cadmium hiding in the crumb. You can't smell it, you can't taste it, but your body will feel it months later when those metals sit lodged in your bones and kidneys like a ticking time bomb. While the FDA sets recommendations, there is no outright ban. In Europe, limits are tighter, and several bars wouldn't even make it onto shelves. Once again, safer in Europe, riskier here. So what to do? Don't panic, don't swear off chocolate forever. Instead, choose smarter. Some brands like Theo, Taza, and Valrhona have tested lower for cadmium and lead. Look for third-party testing seals or published reports from consumer groups. Aim for chocolate sourced from West Africa, where cadmium levels in soil are naturally lower. And don't make chocolate a daily multivitamin. Treat it as a treat, occasional, not routine. Would you still hand your grandkids a bar if you knew it carried lead? Have you ever been shocked by a healthy product that turned out dangerous? Drop your story in the comments. Let's name the worst offenders. The sad truth is that the industry banks on silence. They'll highlight antioxidants in the headline, bury metals in the fine print, and trust you'll never connect the dots. But once you know, you can't unknow. That superfood is playing a slow, dangerous game with your health. Chocolate should melt in your mouth, not leave metals in your blood. And if you thought heavy metals were bad, you're going to hate what comes next. Because sugar-free chocolate isn't as safe as it sounds. But metals aren't the only thing sneaking in. Wait until you see what sugar-free really means. Rolling into number 4, it's the candy bar that brags about being sugar-free but leaves your stomach begging for mercy. Sugar-free? More like stomach-free. The promise is sweet. A treat that skips sugar, safe for diabetics, light on the waistline, guilt-free indulgence. The betrayal? Those missing sugar crystals get swapped for sugar alcohols like maltitol, sorbitol, and xylitol. They don't taste bad at first, but once they hit your gut, the party ends fast. Here's how it works. Sugar alcohols only half digest. The rest linger in your intestines, pulling in water and fermenting. The result? Gas, bloating, cramps, and in many cases, diarrhea. That bar that looked like a healthy swap? It's a one-way ticket to hugging your toilet. Zero sugar, maximum regret. It's not just theory. Scroll through reviews and you'll see horror stories. One bar, and I couldn't leave the bathroom for hours. Another customer called it the worst cleanse I ever asked for. Staff forums even joke about certain sugar-free candies being the cheapest laxative on the market. The FDA knows this. In fact, some countries require explicit warnings on packaging when sugar alcohol levels pass a certain threshold. Excess consumption may cause a laxative effect, appears on wrappers in Europe, Australia, even Canada. But in the US, that warning isn't always there. Here, the label just shouts, sugar-free, in bold type, leaving you to find out the hard way. Now, picture the impact on seniors. Many already manage sensitive digestion, blood pressure meds, or diabetes prescriptions. Throw a sugar alcohol storm into that system and it's chaos. Sorbitol and maltitol can trick your body into swings, blood sugar confusion, painful bloating, even dehydration if the diarrhea gets severe. A quick treat turns into a risky gamble. And the sensory betrayal makes it worse. These bars are designed to look just like the real thing. The snap of the chocolate, the shine on the coating, the sweet hit on the tongue. But then comes the aftertaste, a strange, cooling chemical tang that lingers in the back of your throat. 5 minutes later, your stomach starts gurgling like a clogged drain. The fine print your stomach pays for. Health inspectors warn that sugar alcohols aren't a loophole. They're chemicals with limits. Yet brands market them as if they're safe for endless snacking. And they do it knowing the FDA doesn't make them put a big, bold warning here. Once again, safer in Europe, sketchier in America. Don't get tricked by the label. If you want chocolate without the sugar overload, skip the sugar-free aisle. Choose small amounts of real dark chocolate, 70% cocoa or higher. The sugar will be lower by default, and you'll avoid the fake stuff that wrecks your gut. Or, if you really want a substitute, look for bars sweetened with stevia or monk fruit. They don't come with the same bathroom drama. Isn't it wild that the same bar labeled safe can knock you flat for hours? Have you ever been fooled by a sugar-free product that left you regretting it later? Tell us in the comments. Your story might save someone else a long night in the bathroom. Because here's the ugly truth. Sugar-free chocolate promises relief but often delivers pain. The glossy wrapper sells health. The fine print sells misery. And while the FDA shrugs, seniors pay the price in discomfort and risk. It's not a guilt-free snack. It's a digestive landmine wrapped in foil. Now brace yourself, because the next secret isn't about what you eat, but what coats the surface. Sliding into number 3, here's the bar that shines too bright for its own good. That glossy finish catching the light in the store? Spoiler, it's not the cocoa talking. That shiny finish? It's not natural. The promise is simple. Chocolate that looks flawless, smooth, mirror-like, practically begging to be snapped in half for Instagram. The betrayal? That shine isn't cocoa magic, it's chemicals. Manufacturers often coat bars with shellac or polishing sprays, creating an artificial gloss that screams premium while hiding the truth. Shellac might sound fancy, but let's break it down. It's derived from insect secretions, yes, bug resin, scraped and processed until it becomes a glossy varnish. The FDA greenlights its use in candy, calling it safe in moderate amounts. But cross the Atlantic and you'll notice the EU enforces stricter limits and tighter rules. Once again, safer in Europe than here. Glossy shine or plastic disguise. When you bite into a chocolate with this coating, you're not tasting cocoa alone. That smooth shell can feel almost plastic, like biting through a thin film. Inspectors have warned that these residues don't vanish quickly. Even after weeks of storage, traces of polishing agents remain on the surface. That sleek bar you thought was pure? It's closer to furniture polish than food. The health risks aren't dramatic in one bite, but the slow creep is real. For people with allergies, those insect-based glazes can trigger flare-ups. For seniors on multiple medications, the additives may interfere with absorption, making meds less effective. And don't forget the digestive irritation. Chemicals that linger on your tongue can also linger in your system. A former inspector once admitted, "The bars look perfect under the lights, but no one tells you what's sticking to them." Consumers don't see this side. They only see the shine, the symbol of quality, without realizing it's engineered with sprays you'd never drizzle on your dessert at home. Smooth shell, rough truth. Picture unwrapping a bar. Your fingers pick up a faint residue, almost like a wax crayon, rubbed on your skin. Break a square, and instead of the clean, rich aroma of cocoa, there's a faint chemical note that rides beneath the sweetness. It doesn't taste like poison, it tastes like nothing at all. That's the trick. The coating isn't there for you, it's there for the company, so their product looks prettier under store lights. And here's the slap in the face. Companies push these polished bars as premium, as if shiny equals pure, as if a bar with a chemical glaze is somehow better than one without. Meanwhile, the matte, less photogenic chocolates? Often they're the ones that skip the sprays and stuck closer to cocoa. Start flipping labels. Look for phrases like confectioner's glaze or polishing agents. Those are red flags. Choose brands that keep it simple. Cocoa, sugar, vanilla. Matte chocolate might not sparkle under the lights, but it will melt in your mouth without leaving a chemical trail. Is chocolate still luxury when the gloss is sprayed on like furniture polish? Have you ever noticed a bar that looked too perfect to be real? Tell us in the comments. Let's see who spotted the fakest looking chocolates out there. Because here's the dirty truth. That beautiful sheen isn't a sign of quality. It's a mask, a sprayed-on disguise hiding what's underneath. The betrayal is that we've been trained to see shine as premium when it's really just chemical salesmanship. Chocolate should melt like velvet, not wear a plastic coat. If you think that's unsettling, wait until you hear what's growing in Stora. Landing at number 2, it's the part of chocolate no glossy wrapper will ever show you. The warehouse. Chocolate doesn't come straight from the tree to your hand. The promise? Fresh, pure, straight from the bean indulgence. The betrayal? Cocoa beans often sit in storage for months, sometimes half a year, before they're ever roasted. They're packed into burlap sacks, stacked in humid warehouses, and forgotten until the next shipment. And in that time, the beans don't just rest, they change. Inspectors and exporters have admitted it outright. Beans sit for months in damp warehouses. It's normal, but not safe. Studies on cocoa storage show the growth of aflatoxin mold, the same carcinogen linked to liver cancer. The FDA allows certain thresholds. Meanwhile, Europe sets far stricter limits, banning shipments that fail tests. Once again, safer chocolate in the EU, sketchier in the US. Rich cocoa or mold trap. The risks aren't hypothetical. Researchers have found measurable mold spores in imported cocoa beans. These spores don't disappear in roasting. Trace amounts carry into the powder, the bars, the premium truffles. The flavor might mask it, but your immune system notices. For healthy young people, maybe it's a shrug. But for seniors with weaker immunity or anyone with liver problems, the threat is real. Now picture the warehouse itself. The air is stale, heavy with moisture. The sacks sweat against the concrete floors. Open one, and a sour, musty odor drifts out, half earth, half mildew. Bugs crawl across the seams, drawn by the smell of fermenting beans. Rats? Not uncommon in export stories. Inspectors have caught nests hidden in corners of warehouses stacked with cocoa meant for candy. Warehouse air in every bite. You'd never see this on the marketing. The commercial shows lush trees, happy farmers, and liquid chocolate poured into molds. But the missing chapter is months of beans sitting in conditions you wouldn't trust for storing rice, let alone something you'll feed your kids. Health experts raise alarm about aflatoxins because they don't just upset digestion. Long-term exposure is tied to liver cancer, kidney strain, and suppressed immune systems. For seniors already managing meds for blood pressure or diabetes, these toxins make the load heavier. Even tiny amounts can add up if you snack regularly. Consumer groups point out the hypocrisy. Chocolate is sold as a health food, antioxidants, flavonols, heart-boosting benefits. But how much do antioxidants matter when mold toxins are hitching a ride with them? Antioxidants can't cancel out aflatoxins. That's not how biology works. So what's the fix? Don't just trust the label. Look for brands with transparent sourcing. Fair trade and direct trade companies often move beans faster, limiting storage time. Some even publish lab results for mold and heavy metals. And skip the bargain bin chocolate. It's often made from beans that have spent the longest in questionable warehouses. Would you still call it pure if you knew your bar started in a rat-friendly warehouse? Have you ever noticed a chocolate bar with a strange, stale smell or a bitter aftertaste you couldn't explain? Drop your story in the comments. Your experience could be proof of what's happening long before the bar hits your grocery shelf. Because here's the truth. Chocolate's journey isn't a straight line from tree to wrapper. It's a maze of warehouses, waiting rooms where beans absorb moisture, mold, and sometimes worse. The industry sells purity, but what you're really buying is a product with a long stopover in storage. That rich cocoa taste? It might be carrying the flavor of damp warehouse air. And if you thought storage mold was bad, the final secret is pure poison. Finally, at number 1, we've reached the darkest truth hiding behind that shiny wrapper. This is the secret the industry prays you never hear. Chocolate has always been sold as luxury. A little indulgence, a rich comfort, a superfood even. But when independent labs peeled back the glossy marketing, what they found wasn't velvet or purity, it was poison. In 2023, Consumer Reports tested dozens of chocolate bars, from household names to premium imports. What they found would stop you mid-bite. Cadmium levels in Trader Joe's and Hershey's dark chocolate exceeded California's maximum allowable dose. Lead was detected in green and blacks, Lindt, and more. The FDA itself admits there is no safe level of lead for children. Yet these bars sit on American shelves with no warning label, marketed as health food. Luxury bar or toxic brick? Cadmium comes from soil pulled into cocoa beans during growth. Lead often sneaks in later, during drying and storage, when beans are exposed to dust and contamination. Together, they form a toxic cocktail the industry hopes you never ask about. The betrayal is simple. You're told you're buying antioxidants, flavonols, and brain-boosting cocoa. What you're really chewing on could rot your brain. Seniors face the worst of it. Lead exposure is tied to memory loss, nerve damage, and even kidney stress. Cadmium builds up slowly, straining livers already working overtime on medications. One square of dark chocolate won't kill you, but small daily doses? That's how metals accumulate until the damage is permanent. A customer once wrote online, "The bar had this strange metallic taste. Hours later, I had a pounding headache." That metallic aftertaste isn't your imagination. It's not cocoa magic. It's the silent presence of metals you'd never expect in food. Sweet bite, sour future. Think about it. We regulate lead in paint, pipes, and gasoline, but it's slipping into your luxury chocolate without a bold red warning sign. Cases like this are proof the US bends to industry pressure. Europe, once again, ahead of us. They've already set tighter limits, rejecting imports that fail contamination tests. Meanwhile, American seniors with weak kidneys or blood pressure issues are left to gamble. Here's where it gets ugly. Break a bar of dark chocolate and inhale that rich, bitter aroma. Now imagine the same bar under a microscope, tiny invisible particles of lead lodged in the glossy surface. That bitter snap you thought was bold cocoa? It carries more than flavor. It carries the risk of metals that never leave your body. And still, the marketing campaigns roll on. Ads show smiling faces, couples unwrapping bars as if they're opening romance itself. The truth is harsher. Every bite is a coin toss. Antioxidants on one side, lead and cadmium on the other. So what's the fix? Don't just grab the nearest bar and trust the packaging. Look for European certified brands that publish lab testing results. Independent certifications, not just premium slapped in gold letters. Some smaller companies now test for heavy metals and post the numbers. Those are the bars worth the few extra dollars. Is chocolate really comfort food if it slowly eats away at memory? Have you ever noticed that metallic taste in a chocolate bar? Or felt strange after eating dark chocolate marketed as healthy? Drop your story in the comments. I bet others have felt it too but didn't connect the dots. Here's the brutal truth. Chocolate isn't just sugar and cocoa anymore. Sometimes it's heavy metals, invisible toxins that linger in your blood long after the sweetness fades. That luxury bar? It could be luxury packaging wrapped around a toxic brick. You've just heard the secrets the chocolate industry never wanted you to know. They count on you staying in the dark. Now you're not. Which secret shocked you most? Tell us in the comments. And subscribe now. If you're on your TV, just tap your remote so you never get blindsided again.